Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to today's edition of Wild Wednesday webinar. Today's meeting is being recorded and will be processed and posted up on our website later today. Wild Wednesday webinars are sponsored by MIPA, OPA, TISPA, PPAW, UMAP, PPA Midwest, PPA Chicago, the Arizona Promotional Products Association, ASPA, and coming soon, the PMANC of Northern California. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll find a chat box. If you have any questions throughout today's webinar, feel free to type those in, and I will introduce or interrupt our speaker as necessary to call her attention to it. At the end of today's webinar, as you end the meeting, you'll be directed to a survey. If you fill in your PIN number, I'll make sure that you get CAS credits for today's webinar, which is worth one credit. Later this month, on the 24th, we have Dale Denham, who will be presenting how to improve your Outlook about increasing productivity with the use of Microsoft's Outlook program. So without any further housekeeping, I'm going to turn it over to Kim Kocho, who's a Senior Account Executive with Sage, and let her show you what's new and how to build your business using Sage. Go ahead, Kim.
All right, thanks. Thanks again, everybody, for returning. Sorry about last week's technical difficulties, but today we're going to be focusing mainly in the product search area of Sage and creating presentations and touch a little bit on order management. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'd be more than happy to answer them, but we'll go ahead and get started. And I just want to point out a few things on the home page here. Starting over here on the left side, which we call our menu. And one thing, too, I want to point out is a new version of Sage is coming out in February. It's in beta testing still, but so there's a lot of new features and things to look forward to. But let's go ahead and get started and look at the main interface here is the screen that we have pulled up. On the left-hand side, again, which we call our menu, are all the different areas of Sage that you can access. So product search, which we'll be going into, is obviously how you search for products. And then in the supplier search page, you can type in the supplier information that you want to pull up, and again, pull up products from this page too. Something I want to point out, and this will help, this is a tip, but we base Sage on our tab searching. So anytime you open a new page, a tab will pop up here, which helps for you not to get lost, and you can get back to places easily. So I'm going to hop back over to the home page and touch on a few more areas here. Our specials page lists all our specials from the suppliers, and presentations is where we're going to start, but this is a quoting tool that we use that distributors can create quotes and send out to your clients. Virtual samples obviously allow you to create virtual samples from any products that we have listed in Sage, and we have over 1 million products listed in Sage. The Project Center is basically an area for you to save presentations into. You can save artwork into. How I utilize it is through our presentations. When you create a quote or presentation for a customer, you can create a folder for them, and you have 2 folders you can choose from. You have a private folder, which is strictly for the login, the user who is logged in, or a shared folder, which can be seen from anybody who is logged into your Sage account. So I'm going to click back to the home page. The Client CRM, this is a newer area in Sage. It basically allows you to upload all your clients into Sage. That way you can have all their information on hand, and when you're creating quotes and stuff, you can just pull their information into the quote. It also helps in like follow-ups with clients, so you can make notes on client accounts of when to reach back out to them, and it will alert you here. If you look at the snapshot here, it'll show you when you have a green area, that means you have a follow-up for that day, and the red ones are past due. And then order management, which again, we'll touch a little bit into this, but order management is a way for you to create orders through Sage. You can create POs, you can submit them, you can export them into QuickBooks, which is pretty seamless. So for those of you who have QuickBooks, I recommend using order management. And our newest feature is email campaigns, which is similar to like an email blast. You can create a campaign and push it out to all your contacts, so it's a good idea to have all your contacts uploaded into the CRM so you can quickly put together a flyer and push that out to your contacts that you have in CRM. And then skipping down, we have SageIM. SageIM is an instant chat. It's also used for our live research assistants, which I'll get into when we go into the product search page, but it allows you to chat back and forth amongst people within your own office, and it also connects to our office. So if you ever need help like looking at products, you can use SageIM to do that. And this is another tip, and you might want to write this down. We also have an email address that you can send any search request to. It's research@sageworld.com, so you might want to make note of that. And our publications is for any like industry news, or if you have catalogs through us, but you can click on these and kind of get caught up on what's going on in the industry. And then our trade show planner. So any trade shows that are upcoming are listed here. You can pull up a trade show and it'll show all the exhibitors for that show, for example, like PPAI Expo. If we click on it, it'll show you any of the vendors that were exhibiting at the show. You can actually create walk lists and make notes on the account, so it's pretty user-friendly. Also great to use with your Sage mobile application for those of you who are using it. So let me close out of some of these tabs and we'll go into the product search page. Okay. So when you click in the product search, you'll notice on the left-hand side you have a list of criteria that you can fill out. These are all filters to help you find the products that you're looking for. The two main categories I feel are your category field and your keywords field. Just keep in mind whatever you type in the category has to pull up over to the right. So let's say you type in ceramic mugs. You'll notice that it doesn't pull up over to the right because ceramic is more of a descriptive word, but if we type in just mugs, you'll get a match over here on the right, and you'll know that it's a legitimate category that you can search. Your keywords are going to be things that define the mug. So if you're looking for a ceramic and maybe it has a C-shaped handle, you can continue to add in multiple keywords. And if you don't want to use the "and" to separate the keywords, you can just use commas in between. Some people have a hard time using the category, so my suggestion to you is if you don't want to use the category, you can always just type everything into your keywords, and this seems to be just as user-friendly as using the category. So we could type in ceramic mugs here. And search that way. So whatever you, again, you're typing in either of these two fields has to pull up over here on the right. Item number allows you to search by the item's actual true number from the supplier. And then you also have your SPC codes. Those of you that are familiar with Sage notice that all the item numbers are encrypted and they're unique to you. So no other distributor shares those SPC codes with you. This helps to keep your customers from being able to search easily through other vendors by using the actual true item number. So they're just a way to help you or make it a little bit more difficult for your clients to find the actual item. The theme search is good. For example, let's say you work with a bank and you just need some ideas of products that you could send to a bank. So you could type in banking and it'll pull up all the products related to that theme. And once you type in the theme, you can see all of them that are related here to the theme category. The price field is a good way to help narrow down. So if you wanted to search for mugs that are like $1 to $2 and then enter in a quantity of 500, that'll help just filter down the products to those specific requirements. Dimensions are good for like searching bags if you have specific dimensions here, and like frames and things like that. I'm going to skip down into the made-in area. This tends to get overlooked a lot, but I know a lot of you like to look for USA-made products only, so that's where you would find this feature here. You can also search for suppliers in the product search area. So if you know the name of the supplier of the products that you want to pull up, you can just begin to type it in here. As long as you find a match over on the right, you can just double click it and it will add it into the field over here on the right. And you can do multiple suppliers. And that brings me down to the preference groups. And this is good to use. I don't know if any of you have set up preference groups, but if you have preferred vendors, you can set them up in preference groups. And that way, when you search in Sage, you can pull the preference groups that you have set up first before all the other products that filter in. So, for example, if you have like suppliers that offer EQP, you can set them up in a preference group and search them first. And I can go back in if you want me to show you how to set up preference group. It's really easy. We can go back through that later and I can show you. Some important filters that I think are good to check off and maybe save as a default are the ratings. Maybe you only want to search A or better rated suppliers and weed out all the ones that don't have such as good ratings. And you can set a default by selecting it and then save as default up here over on the right. And then these filters at the bottom are also things that you can add into. One of the most popular one is going to be your verified products only. We're the only ones in the industry that do this. The verified products guarantee the accuracy of the information that you're seeing. Suppliers pay to be Advantage members, which allow them to update their product information at any given time. So that might be also a good default to set to only search verified products only. Not that they won't show up in the results, but they're identified with little red check marks above the product. So we'll go ahead and start with this search. We'll do ceramics, ceramic mugs with a C handle, and we'll click Start Search over here on the right. And one other thing that I forgot to mention is this live research assistant that I was telling you about earlier that connects with the Sage IM. So when you click on it, it'll pop open a box and you can ask, I need help finding a travel mug. And someone will get back with you with those results. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to click on the Start Search button. Oops, preference groups. And this is going to pull up all ceramic mugs with a C handle. So you'll notice, for example, on this one we have a bunch of little things across the top, these little icons. These are preferred vendors. So obviously I placed this vendor into a preference group. That's why it's pulled up. This is for the cups category. And this vendor also offers EQP. And then another one I want to point out is this red check mark, which is the verified products only. So when you're creating a presentation in Sage, your best bet is to find the items that you want to build into the presentation. And in doing that, you just check off the items that you want to build into the presentation. So we'll select these two right here. And at the bottom of the screen, you have a couple different options. The easiest way I can tell you to go in to build a presentation is to automatically check the items and add them to the presentation. If you want to get more detailed information before adding, you can click on the item itself, and that will take you to the product detail page. And on this page, there's a lot of information. So it's going to show you your pricing here. It's going to let you know who the supplier is. And then you also have all these tabs along the top. So these are good to click into. So if you want to check out to see if there's any additional charges, you can click on the additional charge, and it's going to let you know about run charges and things like that. The shipping estimator is also hidden back here. So if you ever want to include shipping in any of your quotes, you can click on our shipping estimator, type in your zip code, and all this information will need to be filled out. And then you just click on calculate, and it'll give you an idea of the shipping costs. So we'll go back to the product page. A few things I want to point out is this button here. This is the catalog page button. So all of our 4,300 suppliers catalogs are uploaded in our database. So you can click on the catalog page and actually pull up their catalog. If you want to flip through pages, you can. You can actually clip out sections of the catalog by using the tools up here on the left. So if we wanted to clip out a certain section of the page, you could just use your mouse, click over it, and if you wanted to add it to the presentation, there's an option to save the page. You can copy the page to the clipboard, which would allow you to copy it into the presentation itself. So let's go back a page to our information here and talk about some of the icons that you see along the bottom. As I mentioned, verified is really important. A lot of distributors like to search verified products only because it guarantees the accuracy of the information. When you hover over the verified, it will let you know when the supplier was last in here and updated their information. So we know that it was updated on the 5th of January. And the Sage IM that's blinking now, that means that that supplier is available for you to talk to online at that time. Another cool feature that tends to get overlooked is the similar products. So if you find an item that is similar to what you're looking for, but you want to find more options, you can click on the Similar Products button down here located on the bottom right, and it will show you items related to that particular item that you just pulled up. The share button up here over on the right also allows you to share. This is a big one on your social media site. So if you have like a Facebook page that you want to promote a product on, this is how you would do it. You can also email it as a promo search link. So if you have your website tied into Sage, it will create a link for them on your website that you can send them to, and it'll pull up that product on the website. So let's go back to our list of products here and the 2 products that we had tagged off to send into the presentation. So I'm going to hit this compare button at the bottom, and we're going to add these 2 products to the presentation. So when adding to the presentation, it takes all the product detailed information, uploads it to the presentation, and then at that point you have the option to go in and modify any of the information. You can change all the pricing on the information. But let me easily explain how to go through the presentation pages here located on the left. So this is the menu for the presentation, and these are all the presentation pages available to you. So typically we start with the introduction page, which is, thank you very much for the interest in our products and so forth. This can be altered. You can change it or you can leave it as is. You can also upload a client from the CRM, or you can create a new client information here. So if we click in this drop down, you can pull from any one of your contacts that you have listed in the CRM tool. Okay, so back over on the left-hand side, you have items. We're showing that we have 2 items in the presentation. If we click on the first one, it's going to pull up all the product detailed information. Again, the item number is showing the SPC code, which is the Sage product code. If you want to show the true item number, you can do so. And again, all this information you can change and you can have it read however you want it to. But let's go into the pricing tab here because you can change pricing for all the products in your presentation. So what you're seeing is what's in bold here is actually what gets sent with the presentation, so the quantities and the selling price. If you want to adjust any of the pricing, there's 2 ways to go about doing it. You can either type in the field and change the pricing this way, or if you have multiple products in the presentation, you might want to look at the adjust pricing table, which will allow you to you know, change it by like 10% less, or you could do an increase, and then you can apply these changes to all the products in the presentation by selecting this button down here. The additional charges will be shown, colors and imprint, any additional information, and the internal information is strictly for you. This does not get sent with the presentation, and if you want to make any notes, these are internal notes, again, for yourself that you can make on the presentation. So as we go through the presentation, I'm also going to teach you how to create your standard template. The closing page is pretty self-explanatory. You can type a closing sentence here. And then when you get down to your signature, you have a couple options. You can leave a space for a signature, require no signature. A lot of people like to upload an image. So if you have a signature block that you want to upload, you can, as long as you have it saved on your computer, you just choose image and select. And then from wherever you have it saved on your desktop or your computer, you can plug it in there. So and that would show up there, and I'll show you what it looks like on the closing. So when creating your standard template, you can do this while you're working on a presentation. You'll definitely want to go into the header page and upload your logos. So where you have this blank box here, you click on Select, and then go to your folder that you have your logo saved in, and just select it from here and click Open, and it'll pop it in there for you. The footer page, you can add a standard footer at the bottom of the page. Most people leave it blank. And then you have an options page, and this is good to set up prior to beginning your presentations because this allows you to choose what information you want to have saved into the presentation. So you can change your fonts and colors here. Just click Change, and it'll open up the box for you to make those changes. So if you want to choose a different font, you can. If you want to change the color, you can. Pretty easy. The item formatting is probably the most important. So what you're looking at here is everything that's going to be sent with a presentation, and this can make it pretty lengthy. So if there's things that you want to take out of the presentation, maybe you don't want to show packing information, then you can just uncheck the items that you do not want to show on the presentation. Some people like to keep each item on its own page, and you can even put a border around the item. The notes page, again, is just strictly notes for yourself that you want to include in the presentation that you can revert back to if you have to pull the presentation back up at any other time. And then you have your preview page. So this is going to give you a general idea of what the presentation looks like when you're about to send it out. So you'll notice at the top of the page we have 4 pages within this one presentation, so you can page over to see all the information. Some people like the idea of creating virtual samples for their customers. So let's say we're looking at an item. We have it pulled back up under the item page here, and you want to drop in a logo on this mug here. The easiest way to use a virtual sample for me is to do it while you're in the presentation. So anytime you see this red V, it will access the Virtual Design Studio. And you can end up spending a lot of time in here, so don't get caught up in it too much, but it's a pretty simple process. It's basic. It's the idea of removing what's on the mug and then putting in a new logo. So how this works is with these tools along the top. So we want to remove what's right here, and the easiest way to do that is by clicking on the lasso eraser, and there's a little instructional tool down here that explains how to use it. So once you click on it, basically you use your mouse, so this plus sign will show up, and you click once, and then you drag your mouse, and you'll see a line form. So basically what we're trying to do is draw a box around what we're trying to remove. And then once you've got the box, if you double click, it will remove what's on the mug. So once it's removed, then you have the option of adding a new logo, and that's with this box right here. So when you hover over it, it will read Add Logo. Okay, maybe I don't have any logos in here. So if you don't have a logo saved, then you can also add text to the box. So to do that, you can click on the T, and then you'll notice over here on the left, you can type in what you want it to read. You can change the font. And then these are called handlebars, these little buttons, and you can size them. So once you've got it on there, you can use these standard transform tools to kind of make it look the way it should on the mug. So we would want to use a curved transform here so we can kind of bend it to give it a look like it's wrapped around the mug. And then when you close out of the virtual design studio, it'll ask you if you want to use the new image in place of the one that's already existing. So we click yes. And then it shows up here. When you get down to the publish page, you have a couple options. You can obviously email it as an attachment, which will save as a PDF, and you'll find that in your outbox in Outlook. You can post it to a website, and I recommend doing this when you have, let's say you have like 20 items in a presentation. Instead of sending a long PDF, you can choose post to website and click on create, and that will actually create a link that you can email to your customer for them to view the presentation. So if we click view, it's just going to open it on a web page. The most popular way is emailing it as an attachment. So if you choose this option, click create, and it's going to create an email with a PDF for you. And then you can just type your note and send it to and again, this will save into your Outlook. You can also print a distributor report, which will contain all the information for yourself, including all the supplier information. This isn't something that you would want to send to the client, but it's good to have just so you have track of everything. But personally, what I do with my presentations is save them all to the Project Center, which I had mentioned earlier. So let's jump up here to the File button, and you have a few options, and you can choose to save as project. And when you do that, it will open your Project Center, and you can create a folder for them. So if we just right-click here, select New Folder, and we'll call this Sample, and click Save. So anytime you want to go back, you have it there and you'll have all the information in there. So let's keep this presentation open, which is this tab right here, and let's go back to our product search page. So we're just going to jump back to the home page, and let's say we want to add more products to the same presentation. There's a couple ways of doing it. I'm going to show you a quick and easy way. So let's go into product search and look for a different type of product. Let's do Okay, so again, we've got these products that pulled up. It's showing it in a side-by-side view option, and some of you may prefer this. I skipped over this earlier, but we do have a view option up here that allows you to select from a drop-down. The most common one is going to be your medium tile view. So I'm going to select that option. And let's say we want to add a couple items to the same presentation. So again, you can tag them off, and you have two options. You can either take these two products and click Add to Presentation, but an even easier way is to drag and drop them. So let's say we want to take this product and add it to the presentation. So you can just drag it up to that tab. And now you'll see them in the presentation. Okay, so let's say the quote's been sent out and you receive a call from a customer and they actually want to order an item. This is where we get into the order management area of Sage Online. Again, I told you the order management is an easy way for you to keep track of orders that you've placed, and you can also, not only can you send orders, you can send sample request orders, you can send POs, invoices. So the easiest way to add an item from a presentation to an order form is to select the item. So we'll do this mug and click on this Item Actions button, which will give you a drop down, and it allows you to add the item to a form. So once we do that, you'll see all the different types of forms we have available, and we want to select to add this item to a purchase order. And it takes all the information and it automatically uploads it into the purchase form for you. If you had multiple items from different vendors, it will open up as many POs for all the different vendors related to that item. So you'll see a bunch of tabs that would open up here for each purchase order for each supplier. So what you'll want to do is go through and kind of look over the item form. You can give it a job number if you want to, or you can leave that blank. You can also assign a PO to it. And if you want to edit any of the information in the order form, you can just select the item and click Edit, and it will open up. And let's say you want to change the quantity to 200, and if you want to adjust any of the pricing, you can click in the item here, and let's say you want to charge them $2 per shirt instead. And then any of the additional charges will be selected here, so make sure you check them off. And if you have custom charges, like embroidery charges or anything like that, you can place those here. And it'll make those adjustments. As you scroll down, you can see that you can also add an art file. So you just click on the art file button, and you can select it from wherever you have it saved on your computer. And when that gets sent, it'll have a link for the supplier to click on to grab the artwork from. So if everything looks good, let's take a quick view of it. We can click on the View Print button here. And this is actually what it looks like. And here's the link I was telling you about with the artwork attachment. Okay, so when you're ready to send this out, my suggestion to you is to send to the supplier through Sage. When you do this, it allows for us to track the information for you. So when we send it, you can go into the history of it. And it'll let you know when the order was sent, when it was picked up by the supplier, and I'll just click on one right here. So you can keep track of what was going on with the order. Again, order management, thousands of orders are placed through Sage daily. A lot of people use QuickBooks, so it's an easy export into QuickBooks. When you're ready to I don't know if many of you use QuickBooks or not, but there's an export button here which allows you to take any of your POs and export into QuickBooks. So you would just select the QuickBooks option and click Start Export. And there is some setup on the QuickBooks end which we can help you with. If any of you are interested, just feel free to give us a call and I can show you how to go in and set that up. But it's a real easy process to do. So going back, one thing that I wanted to mention on the presentations, if any of you who haven't set up your standard template for the presentation, I just jumped back down to the presentation option. To create your standard template, you can go in and, like I said, go through all the menu items here on the left, the primary one being your header. You want to get your logo up there, and then in the options field, check off all the areas that you want, like any print item options that you want to include or disclude in the presentation, which will save as your template. But to save it, you would go to File, Save as Template, and choose your standard template. And select Yes. And even if you have items in the template, it asks you, do you want to save items in the template? And you'll select No, but that way, every time you go to create a presentation for the customer, your template's saved with your logo in it. You don't have to add it each time that you go to use the presentation publisher.
Kim, we've got a question about the PO function.
Sure.
The listener
Order management
asks, does the PO function integrate with eQuantum?
No, it integrates with QuickBooks, but we do work with eQuantum on some other stuff with our websites and punch-outs. So if you want to get that customer's telephone number, then I can have a discussion with them about it.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Are there any other questions or things that people want me to go over?
Nothing right now.
Okay. Okay. Another thing I touched on was the preference groups, which is a big thing for people to make life a little bit easier, especially if you're affiliated with them, like your I Promote You or Halos or AIA. All those affiliates have preference groups, which we already have set up in Sage. But if you're interested in creating your own preference groups in Sage, I'll show you a quick and easy way to do that. The best way is to go into your supplier search page. And find the supplier that you want to place into a preference group. And when you click on their information to open it, you'll want to My Supplier Info. And over here on the left-hand side, you can see that there's preference groups box that you can select from. And you would just choose whatever preference group you have set up for that supplier to fall into. You can also change pricing for that group. So if you go into pricing, and let's say they're an N quantity supplier, you can choose to only show N quantity pricing. So when you pull them up in Sage, it will only show you the N quantity pricing for the price grid for that supplier. That also carries over to the website too if any of you are using our website. So it's pretty easy to set up your preference groups. And if anybody needs help with that, I am more than happy to help you get that set up. Still touching on the preference groups, they're also your preference group names are also created in the tools area under preference groups. So you can come in here and create new preference groups. So if you want to add a new preference group, you just click on the box, add new preference group. And then give them a color code. You can also set an alert for them to show you when they have a new special. So going back to, click OK. If we go back to our supplier that we had pulled up, and go into My Supplier Info. You'll see your new preference group that you just added. And you don't have to click Save or anything. It automatically does it for you. So I think that's about it. We covered searching and how to create presentations and taking items and adding them into order management. So if there's anything anybody wants me to go over, please ask now. Otherwise, call. If you want to hand out my contact information, I'll be happy to set up phone calls and go over anything else with whoever needs it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kim. If anyone has a question, you can enter it in the chat box, or you could try to go *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. We'll see how that works out. I put Kim's contact information in the chat box. That's her direct phone number and email address. If you'd like CAS credits on your way out, fill out the survey, and I will send that PIN number to PPAI. If you don't have your PIN number, I'll direct it to your own executive director to take care of that for you. If anyone doesn't have any other additional questions for Kim, I just want to remind everyone that the February Wild Wednesday webinar on the 24th will be featuring Dale Denham on improving your outlook. And if we don't have any other questions, we'll see you all at the next Wild Wednesday webinar. Thanks so much, Kim. Appreciate your...
All right. Thank you, everybody.
I'll be posting the recording as soon as it's rendered, probably a couple hours from now. So thanks a lot, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.